Welcome to HoodooTube, your one-stop shop for reviews of fantasy, horror, and supernatural entertainment for the African diaspora. The action horror classic, Marked for Death, which was released in 1990, stars the action movie legend Steven Seagal, who fights off powerful inner-city Jamaican mobsters who are taking over the town and wants Seagal's character, John Hatcher, and his family dead. In this action thriller, the Jamaicans are the bad guys. But you weren't a model minority group in America in the 1990s unless an American action hero had fought your criminally inclined cousins at least a few times in an action movie. Jamaican and American actor Basil Wallace does an excellent job portraying Screwface, the evil mastermind behind the operations of the drug trade, and the terrifying Obeah man who has convinced his enemies of his supernatural powers. I loved this movie as a kid, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't allowed to say one of the most iconic lines from the film, "Stop the blood clot crying." The Jamaican gang called the Posse, including Jamaican actors Jeffrey Anderson Gunter, Tom Wright, and Michael Ralph, are a terrifying nemesis in this bloody action-packed story. Hatcher is a high-end undercover agent who works internationally to take down drug cartels, and after a bloody battle in Mexico, Hatcher wants to retire and settle down in his hometown of Chicago. But after reconnecting with his hometown friends, he discovers that the drug trade is taking over his neighborhood, and he's unable to leave himself out of the fight. Keith David plays Hatcher's best friend, Max, and he's done a lot of other magically inclined movies in his career, like voicing the critically acclaimed animated series Spawn, the action thriller They Live, and the Disney movie The Princess and the Frog. But what Hatcher doesn't know is that his enemy is using dark magic to control his followers and his enemies. There's a thrilling scene when a Santera, or a priestess of Santeria, does a magical reading on the powerful Screwface, using a spiritual bath, liquor, cigar smoke, and other magical tools. But terrifyingly, Screwface senses her psychic reach and hunts her down. This is actually one of the few, if only, movies I've ever seen a practitioner of Santeria go up against an Obeah man. But it's fascinating that these two Caribbean spiritual practices were represented in this movie. Though the Jamaicans are the bad guys in this movie, they are entertaining villains throughout this movie with iconic lines, even when Steven Seagal is using kung fu to kick their asses. One of the most iconic scenes of this movie is when Hatcher and the Jamaican posse have a shootout and a fight in the local mall, and the Jamaicans try to gang up on Hatcher, but he just keeps snapping and breaking their arms. Now, Jamaicans aren't completely villainized in this movie. As we know, a lot of drug cartels can't do business without men working for them on the inside. And a Jamaican police officer named Charles, who works on the Chicago police force, is played by American actor Tom Wright. Though Charles is considered a loyal informant for Screwface, he eventually sees the good that John and Max are trying to accomplish in the community, and toward the end of the film begins to help them, but pays a high cost for his betrayal. There are scenes where John Hatcher heads to Jamaica for more intel on Screwface and the posse, and it was a welcome sight seeing and hearing the late great reggae music legend Jimmy Cliff playing a set in the Jamaican nightclub. This film's soundtrack is stacked with 90s reggae tracks, including 3 songs from Jimmy Cliff, entitled John Crow, No Justice, and Rebel in Me. There's even a Peter Tosh classic, Stepping Razor, on the soundtrack as well. And this wouldn't be a 90s Jamaican action movie unless the foreign star of the story gets a little cozy with a ready and willing local Jamaican girl who gives him a good time and more intel on Screwface's reputation. In this film, Screwface is such an iconic Jamaican villain. His creepy eyes and his dark demeanor is very enchanting to watch on screen, because the posse does a great job of convincing the viewer that he has magical abilities, And even though we find out later in the film that there are much more practical ways he goes about his magic, there are times where it seems he is genuinely psychically intuitive. Jamaican and American actor Basil Wallace definitely became one of the most iconic Jamaican villains in my book, and his character is quite fun to watch on screen. If you're looking for a 90s action classic with a touch of mysticism, Marked for Death is the movie for you.